I wasn't sure what to think of Piranesi after I read it. Whatever I was expecting, I didn't expect to read a psychological horror novel, and this is how I read Piranesi. Although it blends multiple genres, including fantasy, mystery, and magical realism, reading this novel is an unusual experience. On one hand, it explores the sublime and mystical, depicting a wondrous place filled with large statues situated in a labyrinth beside the sea, all seen through the protagonist's eyes. On the other hand, it imparts a constant sense of dread in the reader, revealing disturbing details about grooming, abuse, and unscrupulous individuals who confine unsuspecting victims in a secret room within their house to conduct their magical experiments. The actual mystery of what was really going on felt predictable. You were able to piece together what was going on about 100 pages before Piranesi did, and its ending is admittedly underwhelming. But that doesn't detract from anything. Once it's known that Piranesi cannot understand what's truly going on, that's when the book takes off. It becomes suspenseful and heart-pounding as we want Piranesi to discover who he is and what's happening to him. Each discovery is a minor relief that only brings more danger to his reality. While it certainly thrills, this book also isn't trying to be a sweeping epic. It's not trying to confuse or have any big plot twist moments. Instead, it meditates. It asks the reader questions. How do we define ourselves? How do we define reality? How, who, and what do we choose to believe? And we, along with Piranesi, must work out some of these answers for ourselves. The first question that Piranesi poses is freedom a feature of our own minds, or is it a feature of our external circumstances? At first glance, that's all there is to it. The protagonist lacks freedom. He is imprisoned at the mercy of his captors, and there are painful hints of this throughout the book, notably when the unscrupulous other only gives him shoes when doing so, while further using Piranesi as a mere means for his experiments. Piranesi seems unaware of this, at least initially, and is just grateful for the shoes. And yet, the protagonist feels free. According to existentialists, notably Sartre, freedom is a feature of our existence. Sartre famously held that even if you are held in chains, you can be free. You should create your own values and adhere to them, shaping your future as much as possible in alignment with those principles. In this respect, Piranesi is truly free. He honors the house and he lives in line with his values, taking care of the birds, taking care of the few skeletons of the dead people he has found in the house. For all their daring, crossing boundaries, and transgressive thinking, Piranesi is in a sense more radical and free than Valentine Ketterle or Lawrence Arnesiles, who perform magical experiments on their subjects and use people as mere means to an end. Piranesi, rather, sees himself as, he puts it, the beloved child of the house. The house can be seen as the interior castle of the soul, where we go on a mystical journey, a journey of discovery of the self. The house is limitless. Similarly, our inner selves are limitless. Every human being has peculiarities that set them apart from others, the components of their inner self. While being in tune with your inner self is vital and personal, it can also be taken to the extreme, creating a reality where only you know your true self. While Piranesi grew into a kinder and truer version of himself during his time in the house, his prolonged stay in another reality caused him to completely forget his original identity in past life. Upon his arrival back to London, he felt utterly foreign and failed to connect with his family on an emotional level. The same could be said about keeping your inner self hidden. Suppressing who you genuinely are and presenting multiple personalities to keep your true nature to yourself can be detrimental to how you view yourself. The book also deals with the question of the self and how traumatizing events can transform the self, to the point of shattering and destroying it. Again, keying into the horror genre, we see how Matthew Rose Sorensen's personal memories and even likes and dislikes have been destroyed by the traumatizing experience of being locked up in the labyrinth for years. The protagonist himself says that Matthew is asleep within him, hinting at the possibility of a restoration of his former self. Maybe as experiences profoundly transform and mold us, returning to our previous selves is not desirable. It might be really valuable to dive deep into our own minds and feelings, getting to know ourselves on a deeper level that doesn't depend on everything outside being just right. It's more about feeling in tune with the world around us, guided by what we believe in and value. The novel's ambiguous but optimistic ending hints at this, and the protagonist takes both Sarah Raphael, the brave police officer who frees him, and John Ritter, a former victim of armed sales, to the labyrinth. I've seen some discussion about how to read this novel in the light of lockdowns, pandemics, chronic illness, etc. And I think all those experiences are relevant because the novel ultimately is existential in character. It's about how constraints shape and mold us and open up possibilities to be truly free, to be truly authentic no matter the circumstances. The beauty of the house is immeasurable, its kindness infinite. At our core, our personalities contain incalculable beauty and a gentleness that knows no bounds. Every single day we can learn something new about ourselves. Whether it be something as simple as the fact that we do not like a specific order at a restaurant, or something more complex like discerning why we tend to act a certain way. What I have taken away from Piranesi is that we should continue to push these bounds, becoming endlessly curious. Rather than stick to the main vestibule of our house, we should venture into halls unknown with great courage, taking in every elaborate detail. Instead of exploiting parts of ourselves to appear grandiose to others, we should treat our personalities with kindness, taking great care to be as true to ourselves as we are to others without ulterior motives. Seeking to better your personality should not become a way of appeasing others, or just because it is necessary for character growth. Instead, we should bask in the immense beauty of our inner beings with an admiration for all its intricacies, without so much as a second thought of how this could benefit us superficially. To delve deeper into our personalities while also allowing ourselves to remain grounded and open to others is a feat, but one that is rewarding in the end. Continually learning more about our infinite beauty unlocks potential waiting to be released and utilized to its fullest extent, allowing us to transform into the best versions of ourselves. Essentially, we are all infinite beings, and through giving into this immensity and complexity, we can learn how to live and grow in our truest and most authentic forms. One of the dangers of thinking about Piranesi is that you can get trapped in the question of whether you are interpreting too much. The beating heart of Piranesi is Piranesi himself. The experience of watching him live his life, his profound empathy, the way he tends to his birds and to the human dead he finds scattered across the halls, the way he communes with the house. An albatross comes to the house and Piranesi embraces it. He gives up his hard-won seaweed so the albatross can build a nest from it. When he needs to pilfer paper from a seagull's nest, he waits until the baby gulls are fully grown so as not to disturb them. When he must move the skeleton of a small child out of the way of floodwaters, he leaves her snuggled in a blanket so that she will feel safe in an unfamiliar place. There is something meditative about watching Piranesi live, the purity of his life and the kindness of it. And Piranesi's kindness is possible in part because he lives in such communion with the house, which is his world. He respects the house and knows how to live within it, and in turn the house blesses him with its bounties. All the same, it's not clear that the house, where Piranesi lives his pure and transcendent life, is actually superior to our own world. Toward the end of the novel, Piranesi meets a woman named Raphael, the name of an angel, like the statue of the angel that predicted her arrival. Raphael explains to Piranesi that he lives in the house because he has been kidnapped from our own world, a world that contains many things the house and all its statues do not have. Here you can see only a representative of a river or a mountain, she says, but in our world, the other world, you can see the actual river and the actual mountain. Piranesi responds defensively. The word only suggests a relationship of inferiority, he says. I would argue that the statue is superior to the thing itself, the statue being perfect, eternal, and not subject to decay. But Piranesi, in the end, leaves the house and returns to our own world. There, he has an encounter that forms a perfect inverse to his many encounters with the statues of the house, where he saw representations of things he recognized from elsewhere. In our world, Piranesi sees an old man, sad and tired, with broken veins on his cheeks and a bristly white beard, and recognizes him from a statue in the house. He is shown as a king with a little model of a walled city in one hand, while the other hand he raises in blessing. The man who is no longer called Piranesi explains, I wanted to seize hold of him and say to him, in another world you are a king, noble and good. I have seen it. but I hesitated a moment too long, and he disappeared into the crowd. Within the house, Piranesi was able to apply his limitless empathy to the statues that surrounded him, to all the rock and stone and water that comprised his world. In our world, the empathy the statues trained in him leaps out of him to strangers. He knows that a sad and tired old man may also be a king, noble and good, because he learned as much from the house. This knowledge is not the knowledge the other sought, the knowledge that reduces the house to meaningless scenery and grants its bearer control over lesser minds. It is an ability to respect what is around us as valuable in and of itself, not as a tool we can use to extract power to wield over other people. And having come to this conclusion, the narrator, who used to be Piranesi, concludes with the prayer he said often when he lived in the house, and which applies to our own world as much as that one. The beauty of the house is immeasurable, its kindness infinite.